They can't keep sustaining those losses, no way, no doubt about it. I'm sure the board there at Sturdy is intending to continue the way the operation is now in terms of a not-for-profit, community-based hospital, because they brought in Amy Brewer, who was out in California, and that's where she came from. That's her background. That's what she did out in California. But no, you can't keep sustaining these losses, and there's certainly going to be other healthcare chains that are going to be circling around Sturdy, waiting to gobble up, because Sturdy pretty much owns this entire Attleboro area market, and they would love to buy into that, I'm sure. So I would certainly be worried, and I'd, not knocking for-profit hospital chains, but you'd prefer a non-profit hospital, your own community base with local people on the board of directors. That's much preferred over some big chain that they're making decisions, Chicago or New York or something. So yes, I would be worried if I was a local resident.
Yeah, 34 years in a row they're in the black, and now 3 years in a row they're in the red. The number that stood out to me is before the pandemic, they paid less than $2 million a year for contract employees, fill-in nurses, things like that. Last year it was over $14 million just for contract employees above and beyond their regular employees. That is unsustainable. That's a huge problem that's got to be fixed. The other big expense was supply chain issues, which is hitting everything. I think that will be resolved. But $28 million, remember when that used to sound like a lot of money?
Yeah.
Now it seems like a manageable hurdle.
Schaefer Stadium was built for $6.3 million.
The world's largest storm drain
Yes.
by Route 1. But I think it is sustainable. But you pointed out my biggest worry is that some big conglomerate coming in to take them over. So I wonder, I live closer to Boston, and you're reading all the time about these philanthropic donations to the Boston hospitals. If we can just get one of those philanthropists to contribute to Sturdy Hospital in Attleboro instead of Boston, who doesn't need it as much, we'll be okay. I think this is a big deal now, and maybe I'm being pie in the sky and too optimistic. I think 3 years from now the problem should be resolved. But Mike, you'd know more than I would.
Well, no, I think so. You just can't keep sustaining these losses. I mean,
Yeah.
there's only so much red ink you can write. The other thing that is somewhat hopeful for this is that every hospital is in this situation.
Yeah.
Every hospital in Massachusetts in this situation, and there had been some talk from the legislature about providing some relief to these hospitals, the community hospitals. So I don't know if that could be in the works. But in any case, this is, at the very least, they've got to bring their revenue up. So that's going to mean it's going to cost you more,
They did 5,000 surgeries last year. 5,000 surgeries. There's only 365 days in the year. Someone better at math than me is going to have to figure out those numbers. But 5,000 surgeries, and they're still losing this much money. It seems incredible.
So that's about 15 surgeries a day, 14 surgeries a day, if my Bishopian math is correct.
It's about right, yeah.
Two words come to mind. Two names, I should say. Linda Shivitz.
Linda Shivitz, yeah.
Would she have made a difference, Mike?
I think she would have made some difference, but there's been a lot of transition there too. Since she's been gone. They went from, I forget the first one, but
I think it was Dr. Auerbach.
Dr. Auerbach, and then Joe Casey, and then now Amy Brewer. So that's a lot of transition too, to try to bring everything under control. There's been no.
Which, when Joe Casey steps aside, that they did a nationwide search. Brewer, I think, came in from California.
California, yeah.
And I said, okay, well, things will turn around right now. Joe happened to be the CEO during a pandemic, so
Right.
that's understandable. The pandemic is pretty much over. Yeah, inflation, supply cost rising, et cetera, but $28 million.
Yeah. There's still a lot of people are using that as their doctor's office too. I mean, the emergency room is always slammed there, and that's the case in every emergency room in Massachusetts. So it's there's some kind of problem that's beyond Sturdy right now, that's really affecting health costs and causing red ink throughout the industry.